Hey, welcome in, everybody. Welcome to the place to be. My name is D Wiz. Some call me DJ D Wiz. Some call me DJ Wiz. And it's really funny that my guest today has a very, very similar name to mine. And sometimes one of the names that I just said just now, they'll call him. And some of the names that they'll call him, they'll call me. And sometimes it just gets confusing. But I brought my man on. I want to have DJ talk. This is our 50th year of celebrating hip hop. And as we all know, hip hop started out with the DJ. So I want to have DJ conversation with a lot of my peers, a lot of my mentors, guys that I grew up with, guys I watched, guys I listened to on the radio, on record, on TV. And this is the 50th year of hip hop. There was I wouldn't call it controversial, but there's an interesting documentary that you can actually watch on YouTube. It's online right now, and it's called The Founding Fathers. There may be a few Founding Father documentaries or movies out there, but this one is specific and is tailored towards hip hop and the hip hop DJ. So when you do run into it, hit it and check out the link, because it's probably tailored down to about an hour and 40 minutes worth of hip hop content, DJ content, and probably the beginning of hip hop DJing content. And as we all know, it started out in the Bronx, but there is another story. And on that note, I want to bring in a connoisseur to this story. My man, DJ D Wiz, everybody. What's up, DJ
joke.
Wiz?
Yeah, that's our running joke.
Isn't it?
Yeah, man.
Well, that's actually how we you and I got to be pretty, cool buddies. When we finally met each other, you're D Wiz, you're DJ Wiz. We have a mutual friend, don't we?
Yeah, we got a few. We got a few mutual friends, man. It's a small industry, you know what I'm saying? But
yeah, DJ Vern. Fat shout to DJ Vern.
yes, DJ Vern, Dougie. We got so many. Jesse, we got so many.
Yeah,
people.
we're gonna get into the family now, and I want to bring you on, and I called you a connoisseur to I'll call it Queens DJing in the beginning of it, and you're very involved behind the scenes and credits and inside the content of this documentary, The Founding Fathers. Why don't you tell us about it?
Sure. Well, first of all, to build more about the whole Wiz thing, let me just tell you the origins of how I got to DJ Wiz. My name originally, back in the late 1970s when I started DJing as a kid, was the Grand Wizard M.E. That was my name. That was my DJ name. And over the years, it just got shortened to Wiz. And I was a DJ, so
That's fair.
DJ Wiz was born.
That's fair.
And Wiz also encompassed who I was as a person. I was like an honor student, so I was a whiz,
Right.
Intelligently. And I was always gadgety, into like toys and electronics and pinball.
Let's open it up a little bit, because honestly speaking, the term whiz inside our, DJ community, that is a term, grand wizard, the technician, like there's always some kind of wizardry or whatever that is attached, not always, but from our era, that was a thing to add some kind of whiz.
Right.
If you were a DJ, it wasn't MCs didn't call himself, Wiz, like the Wiz Kid, didn't he start out as a DJ as well? Right? So yeah,
Yes.
you were what was your original name?
The Grand Wizard M.E. And the M.E. is basically my initials.
Right.
Yeah, so we, over the years, it just got shortened down to Wiz, because everybody used to call me Wiz anyway, but my official name eventually became DJ Wiz, shortened from the Grand Wizard M.E.
So since we're there, I see, you have multiple crates of records, what's called vinyl wax behind you, bro. This is a long story. When a DJ like myself will see something like that, I know what I'm looking at. That's a long story. That's
Yes.
not, hey, I just went here. No, that's decades. What I'm looking at, that's
Decades. Oh my
decades.
God. Decades,
We're in
man.
the
Like I
50th year
said,
now.
I started as a kid. You like I'm in my mid to late 50s right
Right,
now. So you talking 5 decades. You know what I'm saying? Like
right,
for real, we're approaching 5 decades I've been doing this. And I wasn't there at the forefront of hip hop. I wasn't there at 1973 Herc's house, but a few years later,
right.
that's when it bit me
So tell
from
me about that. So I
from
see
okay.
names. I actually had to write down some of them. Pete DJ Jones, Master Flowers, King Charles, DJ Lance, who I personally know, Master D, Disco Twins. Fat shout out to the Disco Twins. I mean, were these growing up peers of yours, or were these guys that you were looking up to?
They were guys that I looked up to as a child. I was a kid when these guys were doing their thing. Um, I didn't have equipment, and I wanted to be a DJ. So me looking at guys and you know people who I idolized as a kid, people like the Disco Twins, people like King Charles and my partner now, DJ Vernon, um, people like Infinity Machine, New Sounds, all of these mobile DJ groups from back in the days. We idolized these guys. They had all of these. They had like crates and crates and crates of records all over the place, playing in the parks, and they had incredible sound systems made from scratch most of the time. Uh, 18-inch woofers inside of a cabinet
Right.
and big horns and tweeters. If y'all may not know what a tweeter is, it's a little speaker about this big that spits nothing but highs,
Right.
all of the highs. And yeah, as a kid, I looked at that stuff and was fascinated and just mesmerized at the power of the DJ. How we brought the energy to the neighborhood, the crowd, the people. We moved the crowd. And that's what that type of energy and that type of attraction is what made me want to become a DJ.
Okay. So now, when I look at documentaries like that, or any kind of information that's like that, and I see, like you said, hey, these are the guys that we looked up to. Now, we looked up to those guys, but then there's a part in your development where you are one of those guys because you're actually in this documentary with quote unquote those guys. So you actually start to get your feet wet, obviously around your area, in your neighborhood, in your community, going out in the same parks, DJing. Were you involved with a DJ crew as well?
Yeah, well, when I became a teenager and could actually start going to parties, like house parties or little parties in the neighborhood, at small like storefront or like even we used to do parties in St. Gabriel's Auditorium,
Yeah.
you know, which was pretty big. Sorry, not auditorium, St. Gabriel's Gymnasium. They would rent the gymnasium out and throw big parties there. So, yeah, that was like me getting my feet wet as a teen, DJing for real. But, before I even got to that point, I had to learn how to DJ and I didn't have equipment. So I basically stole my parents' plastic house turntable. Like, this is not.
Tell the
For
story.
Yeah, you have to understand what I mean by a house turntable.
Phonograph.
Yeah, basically made of plastic and it's unprofessional. It's the lowest level of turntable. And I stole mine. Another one of my boys stole their parents, and we came together and we, MacGyver jimmied a sound system to DJ, basically. One turntable, another turntable, and a house stereo receiver. A receiver basically had the radio, the phonograph, and like either a cassette player or an 8 track back in the days.
Now, I want to really quickly for the audience, I want to kind of describe what a phonograph is. It was a record player that you were able to put. It would have like a spindle inside, right in the middle of it, where the whole of the record would go. And back then, you were able to put more than one record on at a time. You were able to put on three, four
Stack
stacks
by
of
stack.
records on at one time.
You put a
And
stack
Wiz,
like
you could
that.
tell me what happened after the end of the record would come to the end. What would happen?
Yeah, so
It would pick up
right
and
as
come
the
to the
record is
beginning.
playing and spinning, and the needle is going along the record as it gets to the end, and there's no more grooves left. There was an automatic function, and not all turntables had this. Only some. An automatic function where the tone arm would rise up and go back to the beginning,
Correct.
and then the spindle would automatically drop one new album, and then the tone arm would go right back to the beginning of the new album on the phonograph and just start playing.
Now, you guys were DJing on that. That type of engineering is not made for doing what you guys were DJing on. And that's why I want to take a second to just illustrate what type of technology you were using back then. To, like you
Right.
said, hey, no, D, my parents had one phonograph. My friend's parents had one phonograph. And
Right.
then we MacGyvered, and then take it away, Wiz.
Right. And, all of you who don't know who MacGyver is, he basically, it's a TV series of this guy who could just fix and make anything out of something, So basically, we created our own DJ system using those parts. And what we did was we also took like some wax paper and some smaller 45 records and put them on the platter so we could learn how to spin back records. We could learn how to spin back, and because everybody wanted to be like Flash. Everybody wanted to go quick and be like Grandmaster Flash. That was the goal, so to speak. You wanted to be able to extend that loop, extend that break beat, and just keep the party going. That's what we saw as a kids. Oh, I can't hear you, D. Something happened. I don't hear you anymore. Can you hear me?
My bad. I'm sorry. I had myself on mute because
Okay,
you
no
were
problem.
talking. My understanding from one of the major factors to being a hot DJ or even having a dope crew was having power, 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 power. A system.
Sound system, right? The sound system was crucial. Um, they actually used to have DJ sound battle back in the days. Which mobile DJ crew had the biggest and the loudest sound system? So there was many challenges from like King Charles to the versus the Disco Twins, or King Charles or the Disco Twins versus New Sound.
Right.
Sometimes it could be more than one crew battling another crew. It could be like 3 or 4 crews battling at once. Very exciting because when these battles happened, and mind you, this is before rap really became big. This rap is not anything right now. Okay, this is all music and dancing. So when these crews battled, it was a big deal because these usually happen in the parks and everybody could go. It was free. So whole families and people would come from outside of the neighborhood to come to these battles. And it would be like a whole day event. People would come out, bring chairs, coolers. It was a big deal.
Cops were not involved at all, huh?
Yeah, well,
I mean, because one of the things I see people say, they let us do our thing. It was our neighborhood.
Because, all right, yeah, in the Founding Fathers documentary, Fab Five Freddy particularly said that he said, you know,
That's what I'm referring to.
yes, they let the DJs do their thing because this was where everybody was at. So it actually made the cops' jobs easier. They know that everybody's in one place, not causing any trouble elsewhere. And all they had to do was pretty much safeguard and protect that area, which it really didn't need it because everybody was so entwined in the music and the atmosphere. You know, it was such a feel good time. And that was all feel good music. It was all dance music. So everybody was just out there sweating and getting busy. You know, they used to call it booty land because everybody was shaking their booty and rubbing their booty.
So from there, I get. Now I'm gonna just mention a bunch of names from that area that I get that I'm familiar with.
Hmm.
I get Salt and Pepper. I get Kid and Play. I get Kwame. I get Disco Twins. I get so many that come from that area, and you guys were all connected. Specifically, the Idol Makers, the Herbie Lovebug clique and crew. Now, did this generate from this DJ party Queens, movement that was going on, or was this something totally separate? We're gonna start a rap group or a rap clique because you guys ultimately became a clique. How did we get there?
Well, it was an East Elmhurst origin for the click to happen. But I would say that from King Charles, who lived in East Elmhurst, um, even the Disco Twins who lived in Astoria, like these guys all played in 127 Park regularly. So Herbie Lovebug, who lived a couple of blocks from King Charles, and he lived like 2 blocks from 127 Park. He was up in there, and he was very much into the whole music thing, break beats, and all of that. So, you know, every crew that came from our part of town, which is East Elmhurst, Queens, was there to witness this. So Herbie, Eric B is from our neighborhood. He was right in the middle of it.
Wow,
Coogee Rap,
that's right.
Polo, these guys were all there. Ron Lawrence. Right, speaking of Ron Lawrence's brother was also part of the origin of how we got all into this because Ron Lawrence's brother was a big time DJ known as DJ Dance Master. Excuse me.
Right.
DJ Dance Master, not only did he have an incredible sound system, he was also a club DJ. He would play at Studio 54 and all of the hot disco clubs in the city, Regimes, all of these big, hard to get in clubs. He was part of that elite circuit, being able to go in there and DJ. But also, Ron's brother, Dance Master, had this incredible sound system that was custom made, the only custom made DJ set at that time by a gentleman named Richard Long. Richard Long created custom made speakers and created the DJ console. This guy created that.
Which is documented on Founding Fathers. You guys said this
Yeah.
guy actually made the first DJ coffin, and I think DJ Vern said how much it weighed. It
Yeah.
was extremely heavy.
Yep. Yep. It was because you got to understand, since these are like prototypes, there was, you learn how to make things more efficient as you go.
Yeah.
And that coffin that Richard Long made was sturdy because that equipment was very expensive and it was just super quality. You know, it was super duper quality. Um, I hope people go watch the documentary and see what it actually looks like. Um, but it
That
hasn't gone too
photograph,
far from
that's an
uh,
actual photograph of the actual first DJ Coffin in the
yeah,
documentary?
of the first Richard Long console.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean
I've seen the photograph in the
that.
documentary.
Yeah,
That's it?
that's Richard Long's console. Yep, Richard Long. I'm not gonna say because I can't verify this. I'm not gonna say that Dance Masters console was the first DJ console.
Right.
I just know that Richard Long created the first console, and
That's what you guys
and Dance
citing
Master
there.
had it. Yep,
So
Dance
since
Master
we're
had it.
there, tell me about Ricky Grant.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm
you know what?
interested about this mixer that DJ Vern was describing. He said, because you just mentioned about MacGyver, he said this guy actually figured out how to create the crossfader. And I actually called Vern afterwards and spoke to him about that. He said, D, prior to that, the DJ mixer had nothing but knobs that you would
Mhm.
see that's pretty much on a
Right.
mixing board at a studio you would see. Did you know Ricky Grant?
No, no, I was too young. Remember, like Vern's a few years older than me. He's my DJ partner now, but I was a kid and I would go to the park to watch Vern and guys like Ricky Grant. You know, they were all in these DJ crews, and I was up there just a little kid wanting to learn how and get some equipment like that and learn how to do what they were doing. So Vern is, he was there to witness and knew Ricky Grant and all of that. So I didn't know Ricky.
Right.
I just know the legend of him, guys like him and Infinity Machine. These all these people that had this equipment. My closest interaction, all of that, which was an incredible uh, blessing, was being friends with Ron Lawrence and having access to that Richard Long equipment. We had access to that. Like
Wow.
it was right in Ron's house in the basement. Like we got to go touch it.
Right.
Like we didn't DJ on it, but we got to actually see it and
Wow.
touch it.
Right.
And it was it was above state of the art because there was nothing like it. Like this is not something that people could just go in the store and buy. You had to know this guy.
Because he was only making custom equipment back then. Am I right? You guys cite that. You
Correct.
guys say that in the founding fathers.
That's right. That's right. That's right. It was all custom made, and these speakers and the coffin, everything looked like it was from the future. Everything.
So, how do we get into the business? Because we're at the parks, we're DJing, we're in crews,
Hmm.
new sounds, like you said, Infinity Machine, Disco Twins. There's a lot going on. Run DMC from the other side of town, Hollis, Queens.
They weren't even out yet.
Really? Is
They didn't
that
exist
early?
yet. Yes, yeah. This is way before that.
I had DJ Hurricane on the other day, and I spoke to him, and he was telling me about in his neighborhood about also on how things the DJ circuit was
Hmm.
in the Hollis area as well, and he told me how Jam Ass J was involved in some of those crews around
Yeah.
the way. If you guys actually check out the DJ Hurricane interview I did with him, it's actually on my YouTube channel as well. Fat shout to DJ Hurricane,
Yeah.
DJ for Beastie Boys. I mean,
Yeah.
DMC, Afros. I mean, again, and that's why I'm asking when it comes to this Queens thing. So you guys, these guys like Pete DJ Jones, they must have been playing a variety of music because you guys talk about Soul Makusa. You guys talk about, and I asked Hurricane that the other day, what made Love Is the Message such a Queens record? Why is that record so important for a Queens DJ?
Well, we got to talk about the group uh, and all of the hits that they made prior to that. You understand? Like this is the same. You gotta understand. This is the same group that made the Soul Train thing. You know what I mean? Like they made big records, big sounds, big horns, disco. Like instrumentals, heavy instrumentals and basses.
That being said, you guys zeroed in on Love is the Message.
Yeah, when Love is the Message came out, you got to understand music was different back then, okay? So we had a lot of funk, we had a lot of soul, real important and varying styles of black music. Like the songs and the artists varied so much, but it was all original. MFSB, the Sounds of Philadelphia, they had some incredible music. Love is the Message musically was different than everything out at that time. And it was a party song. You know, from the beginning, when they're singing, you know, the women are singing, you know, love is the message that I bring to you. It's just a harmonious song.
I love when people break down and analyze music like that. I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. When
Yeah.
you
I mean,
actually get
you're a
into it and
musician. You know because you're a musician.
bro,
And
break it down.
we're helping
Break
other
it down.
people to listen this way. So if you were to go on YouTube right now, anybody that's listening, if you were to go onto YouTube right now and type in Love is the Message, the Sounds of Philadelphia, MFSB. All right. The song is going to come up. You may get a whole bunch of different versions because the actual song varies from one length to another length. They remixed the song, they extended the song, and they're all different.
Yeah.
All different layers, long instrumentals. Like this record is so incredible. But I don't want to get too far off track. But from the singing part, the beginning singing, harmonious harmony of the women singing, love is the message that I bring to you. When they go to the breakdown and the women go, love is, you see, in that D, you know,
Stay there. Go.
you know, when they start breaking down and they start taking you to different sections of a song.
Yes.
This is not something that they do today.
Right.
Songs are like an adventure. It's like we're really taking you on a journey. You know, this is like what real big bands and orchestras did. You went on a journey musically. So once they got to one high crescendo breakdown, love is, it goes high, it comes down, and then it shoots right back up with a whole nother flavor.
That sax solo, my brother.
Yes.
It's like
yes.
you're talking about everything else. You haven't even gotten there yet. You haven't even gotten to the sax solo yet.
Yeah, no. I'm just starting.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like we're just like getting to 30,000, right?
So, you know, there was nothing out there like it.
Understood. Yeah, I understand.
This is why the song was so big, because that journey, when you heard that song in those speakers in the park.
I understand. Yeah. You know, I wish I was. Oh my God.
Like D, for real. That song in the park with like 6 heavy Bertha speakers, like just out there with that incredible band and bass and the sax, like all of what I'm saying to you.
Yes.
You feel that in your soul.
You know something about that song as well, and you notice as a DJ, and we could talk about this also briefly. It's the mixing of the song.
Right.
You know, as you know, Wiz, there are some songs you put on, you actually have to give it a little boost, a little bass, or come down on something, like some gain, etc. You have to manipulate the song within the mix coming from a song, depending on how that was. But everything about that song cuts straight through. That sax solo, when it just, oh my God, as you're mentioning it, I'm thinking about being in a park. And as you said, Bertha's just
that energy.
Yeah.
It gives you that energy, man. Like, yeah. So that's that energy that I'm describing to you from that song is what made it so unique and so special. And because a lot of those mobile DJs were in Queens, that's why it was a big deal. But hold on, it wasn't just Queens. Even in Brooklyn too, because they was talking about DJ Lance playing it.
Yeah.
DJ Lance played like it was just a big song for that period of time. There wasn't a lot of songs that had the effect in New York City like that. Again, the sound and the tone of music back then was very melodic, up, down with the bass line and just the driving.
Right.
That's what disco was. It was that doom 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 doom.
Preach.
But that rhythm, you just had to move.
Yes.
But imagine that, and anybody that doesn't know speakers, after you watch Founding Fathers and you see the size of these speakers, or just think of going to a concert in any arena and standing in the front or by the stage by those speakers.
And and you mentioning it, that intro, even after the women are singing, when you get to the part where it's just
hold on, D. Wait. Let me. That part right there was an edit. Like that was a special edit.
Well, you mentioned that about having different versions.
Yeah. So the original had that, but it only went once. They're like dun 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 dun. They go right back singing.
Oh, really? It doesn't go into the sax solo.
No, it goes. They're right back. That's in the singing part. Yep.
Wait a minute. So, okay, the version that I know. So, right, I just now I just take all of those hits away and I do it one time. In my mind, it would go straight into the sax solo. So, and you're saying, nah, D, the original doesn't do that. It goes to singing.
Yeah. Yep.
Is there a sax solo in the original?
Oh yeah. It's like it goes into it differently. You see, but that's what I'm saying. Like the original album version was longer than, like Vern described it. The 45 was short. Like that was a short edit. I remember the album version and the actual part with the sax and all of that. It was a little shorter than like that 12-inch version. And
the one of the DJs that we play.
Right. But hold on. There's even a longer extended version on a special Philadelphia Classics TSOB. Like I forgot how long this version is, but the bass line part is much longer. Like much longer. It's just straight groove for dancing, no horn, no nothing. Like it's incredible. It's incredible.
So since I could see the passion, so music for you, it means a lot to you, and I could tell it does. How far do we go back, Wiz, with music for you? Like,
well, music started for me when I was a kid living in Corona, Queens, before I moved to the Hearst. I lived in Corona, and one of my older sister's boyfriends used to come and play the piano. We had a piano in our house, and he used to get on there and play the piano, and he taught me how to do some little stuff on the piano. I didn't know how to read music, but I learned how to play what he played, just little stuff like that. And also that was my intro to want to learn how to play and do music. But I had 5 older sisters.
Yeah.
Okay. And my dad had a record collection and all my sisters had records. So I was exposed to a lot of different kinds of music. I mean, my dad, God rest his soul, he had a great ear for music. I mean, my dad used to buy all of the other popular music at the time. People like Johnny Mathis.
Okay.
Burt Bacharach. Johnny Cash.
Right.
All of these type of people. My dad had the album.
Were you curious to some of this music at the time when you were growing up?
They would play it.
You didn't have to be curious. It's like, D, My
Yeah,
dad was
like I'm
playing it in the
there.
crib.
I'm listening to it right there. I'm listening. So I'm learning. I'm
Yeah.
learning about the music. I'm learning about all of that. I mean, listen, when I first heard Soul Makosa, it was like 71, 72,
Wow.
something like that. And the reason I remember that record so vividly is because my one of my older sisters was getting married. And at the wedding reception, they had DJ. Like they had a DJ playing, and that record was like the hottest record out at the time.
Right.
And it was in them loudspeakers too, and they were rocking. Oh my God, So Makosa was so huge. Woo!
Now you see what you're talking about right now was the diversity. That's a wide gap between Somakosa and Love is the Message.
Right,
Like we listened to that much of a wide
right.
range of music. You know, you're like,
I give
oh,
you
D, I also grew up in a household. My dad was listening to,
yeah, yeah,
Johnny.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like
From
Cash
all
and
of that. Listen. I'll name just a couple of songs. Scorpio, Dennis Coffey,
right, the break
big
beats.
record,
Right.
big record. Um, what's his name? Jose Feliciano. You know
Those
what
are-
I
yeah.
mean?
Yeah,
Come on,
and we
baby,
use all those breaks. We use a lot of those break beats. Yeah, a lot of those records did be.
Simon D. Bra was like the biggest. Forget it. When I was a kid, Bra was Bra and Somakosa. Forget about it. Those two, untouchable.
How did DJs discover these break beats? Because Wiz, again, some of these bands weren't big like MFSB or whatever. They just weren't huge. They would have a one. Okay, for example, Apache. For example, was that a huge band that had, what I'm saying, a bunch of hit records like a
No,
Sly and the Family Stone? You get my
no,
point?
not at all.
But we
Sly and the Family
discovered that
Stone.
record and it
Right,
became a
right.
staple in hip hop. You get my point?
Absolutely. But this is the thing. You see, making a record was such a big deal back then. So anybody that made a record, you were already successful because you made a record. It wasn't like today where somebody could just go in their bathroom and record a song. You know, you had to have money and you had to have access, which was super hard to come by back then. So if you were blessed enough and lucky enough to actually record a song, somebody was going to listen just because you said you made a record. Period. It wasn't common. It was not taken lightly for any group to say they made a record. And you mentioned groups like Sly and the Family Stone. These guys were huge, okay.
Huge.
But somebody like the Incredible Bongo Band. Like these guys, I don't know where they're from.
That's my
You
point.
know, I don't know where they're from.
That's the
but
point.
They made two songs,
That's my
whatever,
point.
and them songs caught somebody's ear.
Right.
But that was the way it was back then. Everybody who wanted to record, if you got lucky enough and you record one song, two songs, some DJ was gonna play it. If there was a black DJ,
Right.
they're gonna try it. Everybody. That's one thing I'll say. Started way back and never left. DJs breaking records. I don't know who the first person was to play Apache. I don't know who the first person was to play Soul Makosa. I don't know who the first person was to play Simon D. Bra. But these songs, whoever played them, if they like them, they're going to play it again. And back then, it wasn't like we had a bunch of radio stations. We didn't. We had a lot of AM stations. Like, we had WWRL. That was like the station
Right.
back in the days. And that station played everything.
There is a story I've seen on a DJ documentary on how Apache came to the U.S. or something like that. I have to refresh my information on that. It sounds familiar to you as well, right?
Yes,
There was a
it does.
DJ that was over there in Africa. Was it that? It was a Soma Code. It was Apache, right? Am I correct? It was. I have to refresh my memory on this, but I did see something somewhere.
I think Apache might have been in the UK. or something like that. Apache.
Somewhere overseas, a
Yeah.
DJ heard it and brought it over here.
As far as Soul Makossa, that might have been from Africa.
It may have been So Makosa
Manu
I'm
Dibango.
thinking of.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you mentioned about the record business and making a record. So obviously, you come also from the record business and making music and making a record. So how did that come to be? When did you decide I want to be in the music business? And how did we get to Kid and Play?
Well, after, you know, my intro into DJing and hip hop, breaking my parents' turntables and learning how to DJ on house plastic turntables and a stereo receiver, you know, I actually was gifted two Techniques turntables, SLD ones from my dad. And I also got a mixer, a Gemini mixer. Um, Long story short, excuse me, I was able to just keep practicing with the equipment, buying records from the local record shop, also traveling to Downstairs Records downtown, and just keep getting good at my craft and learning how to go back and forth and, just trying to keep that hip hop break going and going. And this is way before Kid and Play. I'm in a group called the B Boys back here. This is a long time before Kid and Play. I was in a group called the Turnout Brothers before Kid and Play, which had Kid. Kid was in my group. I was the DJ, and Kid was in my group. We're talking about end of 81, 82. You know what I'm saying? And we were lucky enough, that group, the Turnout Brothers, was lucky enough to get some light on a radio show, a local radio show here in the city on 105.9, with the blessings of C Divine, the mastermind, and Just a Lot of Superstar, the world's famous Supreme Team, which was major. They played us on this. They played our demo, our routine on their show. That was kind of like the beginning of the bug wanting to do records. Of course, this is after Rapper's Delight. Rapper's Delight and King Tim III was already made at that time. But still, to go to a studio, to afford studio time, to make a record, it was like unheard of.
Right.
It was unheard of back then. In 80, 81, 82, that was like, come on, man. That's like a miracle, like a straight miracle to get to a studio and pay for studio time and all of that. Just wasn't happening.
So how do we get here to Kid and Play? Because that, as you said, hey, I was in a group, and Kid was one of the MCs. I was a DJ.
Mm-hmm.
You guys went on to be one of
Right.
The '80s biggest groups of that time.
Right. Kid and Play came out in 87 with Last Nights on the Select Records. But I mean, what happened is, I know Herbie and the Super Lovers, which was the group in our neighborhood, along with the Turnout Brothers, they actually recorded a song called "The Lover's Law" way back then. People would get their money together and pay for studio time and cut a song. No way to play it, really, unless you were blessed enough to have somebody like Mr. Magic or Red Alert, or the Supreme Team play your song. But airtime was at such a premium back then. We didn't have hip hop stations. We didn't have none of that. Hip hop was only heard underground radio, like between 2 in the morning and 5 in the morning.
That's right. On the weekend.
Yes.
Friday and Saturday only.
Exactly.
Not Friday, Saturday, and Saturday. Yeah, on the weekend.
Right. Yeah, man. So,
And it would alternate. Red Alert would be, I think, on Friday, or Chuck Chill Out on Friday, and Red Alert would be on the next night.
Right. Just getting exposure back then was almost impossible because there were no outlet. You had to be established and your record had to be banging if you were going to get any airtime, because there was no other way to get your record out. It just wasn't there.
During that time, I remember, as you said, it would come in at 2 a.m. I used to stay up like most young DJs in tape. Um, and back then it was commercial free because I think they just figured that no one was up during that time. And Red Alert and Chuck Charlotte would send they would call it reels back into the radio station and they would play them.
Hmm.
The Latin Rascals every now and then
Right.
would do some mix shows as well. I do remember the first time I heard a Kid and Play record. It was the first one. It was Last Night Changed It All. Now,
Hmm.
of course, as a DJ, me hearing it is coming from a break beat. I was like, hello, like it's coming from that entire. I remember
Hmm.
that series of break beats on that the super disco breaks or whatever, and I remember that break beat. I was like, ooh, and Wiz, that was
Hmm.
a popular thing for producers would take breaks that DJs would play around in the parks as MCs would uh, rap on, and they would bring it inside the studio and build on that and put a bass line to it and just like kind of like remake it. But that record specifically, Herbie or you guys didn't add to it. You kind of kept it naked with just
Right.
the break beat record and just raps on it. Every now and then, you would hear some chords come in. I think when Kid was rapping and saying things, but you guys left that kind of like stripped down. Was that deliberate? Were you involved with that from a DJ perspective?
No, I was not involved in that. I was not even down with Kid and Play at that time. I came after that. Yeah. So what it was Herbie got the deal for Kid and Play. And getting deals back then was a single basis. Like, it was single. You get one single, you may get another single. You have to prove yourself. You didn't just get an album deal. Nobody got that.
Rap was early, yeah.
That was, yeah. So
Experimental.
right.
They were
So
scared. You know what I'm
right.
saying? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, because you had to prove yourself.
Word.
You had to prove yourself worthy to get an album deal. So each single Kid and Play put out rose, like from the first single to the next single to the next single, and then like, okay, you guys can do an album because each one did better than the other one. Um, but as for Last Night in Production, Herbie had a crew of producers throughout his tenure as producer of Herbie's Machine. That's why it's
Idol
Herbie's
makers.
Idol Makers, Herbie's Machine.
Right.
So, but one of the first, and who's also credited as producer along with Herbie on Last Night, is DJ Quicksilver, who was the DJ for the Super Lovers
I've heard that name.
back in the day.
I've heard Salt speak that name.
Yeah,
I've heard
Quicksilver.
Vernon.
Quicksilver was a neighborhood legend as far as a DJ. He was one of my brothers, one of my peers, and he was incredible. He was incredible. He was like a real mad scientist. I'm a wizard. This guy was definitely a mad scientist.
Yeah, I've heard that. I think even Jose. Yeah, Quicksilver. Fat
Yeah,
shout out to Quicksilver.
yeah, Quicksilver.
He's behind a lot of Herbie's
Yeah,
sound and production physically. Am I right?
he had a lot of creative genius to how he put things together. But Herbie's talent, why Herbie is the man, is he refined things to make sense. Where a lot of DJs would go overboard and put too much stuff, Herbie would axe this, axe that, arrange.
Oh, really?
Herbie wasn't the arranger. Herbie could arrange things in a more popular, palatable way that people liked. Herbie was really good at arranging things. That's where his producing skills showed, and knowing where to drop things, knowing where this should be, knowing where that should be, take that out, put this in.
Right.
Herbie, that was Herbie's gift. And how to mix, how things should sound sonically. Herbie was a master at that. I mean, Herbie went to audio school for that. Like he learned this at school, but he also had flavor, coming from 127 in the park jam, but also, okay. And you mentioned Quicksilver and I mentioned the Super Lovers. Fun fact. Quicksilver was the DJ for the Super Lovers. They also won a rap battle contest at the Disco Fever in the Bronx. They came in like second or third place in the Bronx. And I'm talking like 81, 82.
That means they went against some Bronx heavyweights
Yeah,
at
they
that
went.
time,
Yeah,
bro.
yeah, man, it was a
Cold Crush
competition.
Brothers. Like, like,
I don't. Yeah, I don't know who was all in it, but they won. Like third, second or third place. They got a trophy and everything.
right.
There's a picture of it somewhere. Actually, I saw that picture posted on some special BET had one time. I'm like, how did they get that picture? I don't. But they didn't even mention what it was. I knew what it was.
Yeah, right. Like,
Crazy.
I know what that is. Yo.
Look at that picture. But yeah.
Tell me, how was it DJing, touring as a DJ in that late 80s going into the 90s era? Because for me, wow. I mean, that's my, late high school years. Arsenio Hall, which we're going to talk about. You just had so much going on, and it was fresh and new stuff. MTV Raps kind of just started. Ralph McDaniel was midway. He had started way before that, but you also have an affiliation there. Like, you were really planted 2 feet in by this time. Am I right? Like, by the time Kid and Play, you're touring. Like I mentioned Ralph McDaniel, who is instrumental just in, I think, urban video in general. Period. Extremely. Would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, Ralph.
Instrumental.
I think Ralph McDaniels, the creator of Video Music Box, is probably responsible for, I don't even know what the percentage would be, but without Ralph McDaniels and Video Music Box, this culture might not even exist.
Yes, that's the point.
Honestly.
Yeah. So during that time, you have that. You have MTV Raps. You guys, like, Spring Break back then was a huge, big thing. What
Now,
was
hold on.
touring life as a DJ in the late 80s?
I wanna just go back because you mentioned Spring Break and Yo MTV Raps and all of that stuff. That's you're talking like 89, 80, whatever. Remember, Video Music Box started in 1983.
Oh yeah,
So we're
that's what I
talking like
mentioned. I
6
said
years
it was
earlier.
much earlier. I'm
No,
speaking
right.
in the
I'm just
time when
saying.
you were touring as a DJ.
Okay, good. But I just want to preface all the way up because Running Them came out before us, right? Run DMC and Yo MTV Raps really changed everything because Yo MTV Raps took stuff global. Okay, it took hip hop global. Movies like Wild Style and of course the Fresh tour, uh, Beat Street, all of these movies, Crush Groove. Um, because of that globalization of hip hop, us going on tour was incredible and always surreal to me because rap was still new, like as far as going around the country and going around doing what we love to do.
Yeah.
Like that's so incredible. As a DJ, getting the DJ for Kid and Play, um, I'm still baffled at just how incredible those times were. Everything was so fresh and new, D.
Right.
Like everything was fresh.
Break it down.
Like it nobody saw anything like that back then. Like it was all brand new. Especially as far as Kid and Play, our look and our presentation was brand new. The hip hop with the dancing, the style, the flat tops, the crispy Nikes, the two hype shirts. I had a damn shirt. It was too damn hype. All of it was so brand new. And we were blessed because of Herbie to go on the road and open for groups like Salt and Pepper. Salt and Pepper were big at this time. Salt and Pepper were platinum.
Right.
We were opening. We toured with them and Keith Sweat. So you're talking 88. This is before the album Too Hype, before all of that. But that was my first taste. And I would say even just doing the clubs before we got to do the arenas, doing the clubs was amazing too. We were doing, a whole bunch of clubs in one night. Oh, you're playing here. Oh, you're playing there. It was just surreal.
Did you venture off as a DJ as well, outside of doing the artist thing with the guys, with the group? Did you venture off and do, hey, I'm DJing at this club, this particular night in this city after an after party, etc.? Did you venture off and do that stuff as well?
Not a lot. Not back then. Not back then, because you got to understand, back then, that wasn't necessarily a big thing back then. That happened later in the 90s. That happened later. Back when we were getting large, pre-Too Hype, it was more like we did our show, and after that, we're going to have fun.
Right.
Basically, you know what I'm saying? We were so young, D. Like I said, everybody was green. It was all.
It was new, bro. It was new.
It was all new. I mean, listen, we had fans. We would go hang out with the fans.
Right.
Girls.
That's right.
Whatever. You know what I'm saying? So.
And like you said, this is you at this 18? Am I late teens, early 20s, or what is this for you?
I was in my early 20s when all of this was going on. Yeah, very early 20s. Yeah, I'm like 21, 22. I'm young.
So now something happens and you get connected to, who was the biggest iconic TV show, late night TV show at the time, Arsenio Hall.
Yeah.
Tell me how this happens. How do you get connected to an Arsenio Hall talk show and have a DJ spot there?
Hey, all right. Ironically enough, this is during the time where Kid and Player in LA. We're doing the LA thing, okay? We're living in LA. We're doing House Party 2. So it's like 90, like 1990-ish. And the House Party 2 was being made at the time. And Kid and Play actually, we're doing TV performances everywhere because House Party was already out and done. So these guys are mega at that time. Luckily, we did an episode of a TV show called The Party Machine. And we didn't perform. We actually were just guests on the show. Okay? The Party Machine was like a prototype similar to MTV, whatever. I forgot the
Club
show.
MTV or something like
Club
that.
Club MTV.
Downtown Judy Brown.
It was similar to that, except it was Nia Peoples as the host.
Right.
So we were guests on there, and just lucky enough, Arsenio and his production just asked me if I wanted to be their DJ. Call it God's timing, whatever it was. They liked my personality. They liked my look. And because prior to that, they had an actor who was hosting, DJing along with Nia. And I guess they wanted somebody that was authentic, and they asked me. So I'm like, sure.
What did that entail?
To host and DJ. Well.
Oh, you were hosting.
Yeah.
Oh, you weren't physically. You were alongside Nia Peoples at the time.
I was alongside Nia Peoples, and it was more like introducing artists, because back then we weren't really allowed to play stuff on TV. We were not allowed.
Right.
For copyrights and royalties and
it's
all
the same
that,
way.
We were not allowed.
Same way.
I remember there was one segment I asked, could I at least record like I'm DJing? Can I act like I'm doing something?
Yeah.
So I did that with I was cutting up a break beat, Save the World. Remember that break?
Of course.
Save the World. And I threw that into You Can't Play With My Yo-Yo, because that's the break beat underneath it. So I was like, I transitioned like that, and that was like my only actual DJ segment on that show ever. Everything else was just like a throw to and introduce
Because they
this
couldn't clear
artist.
them.
Yeah, they couldn't clear it. Like every song and video that was played on TV, you had to get clearance
Yeah.
for ahead of time.
Same way today.
Yeah. So that's why.
When I would send stuff into a network, that would I would edit for Salt and Pepper, whatever. Anything I sent in, any music edit, it had to be cleared. I
Right.
mean, and Wiz, they've some stuff hasn't been cleared. Particularly, I remember one time I had Charlotte and Salt and I had like a gunshot in something that was going to be, it was a part, that's a part of our culture. That's part of, party, things like that. And, one of the networks was like, no, you got to remove it. And, to your point about everything, everything has to be cleared when it comes to network television.
Yep.
And they're not gonna, as they're not gonna pay. You're saying to yourself, hey, I want to play some records. They're like, yeah, but you know what? That 10 seconds of a record that you want to play,
Cost.
$60,000, and
Yeah.
that next record you want to play after that, 40, and that next.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, man. And
So you were doing a lot of the hosting back then.
yeah, it was me and Nia. I interacted with the dancers and the artists. I would interview artists. Same thing. Yeah, it was fun.
Did you move to LA during that time?
Yeah, we were already living there. We were already living there doing House Party 2.
Right.
Yeah, so yeah, it was an amazing time to live in LA, and just for hip hop and the energy. Again, even though House Party was already done, we were hot. We were real hot back then, because of House Party, and just because we were already around the country several times
Right.
with Public Enemy and making those appearances on all these other shows. Kid and Play were like a household name. And also, we had the cartoon and the comic book. All of this stuff was all around that same time,
Right. Now, I've seen you within, the last 10, 20 years DJing outside of an artist's, zone where it's been DJ Wiz. You've been, in New York City Club. I've seen you at M1. I've seen you on cruises DJing, as yourself, just here featuring, DJ Wiz, etc. Which do you prefer, DJing on stage for an artist at a show, or DJing in the clubs, i.e., as it is back in the days on the block?
Well, I mean, they're both fun. They're different. I enjoy both. DJing solo as DJ Wiz would probably always be more fun and more involving, because I get to interact with the crowd. I get to interact with the crowd directly, as opposed to DJing with an artist and basically just dealing with their music. It's fun though, because the crowd still is involved either way. Whatever artist it is, the crowd and the audience is going to engage in that person's song, and it's still an energy that I get to be a part of.
Right.
But when it's just me, I'm creating that energy with whatever I play. So that's always going to be like more exciting to me. When you mentioned M15, when I had created my own night in residency at this club, Lower Manhattan, M15. It was called the Video Mix Party, and I was basically DJing with music videos, which the technology that it took to do that was very early when we started that in 2006.
Can I hop in right here?
Sure.
At 2006. So I was one of the attendants at these famous parties that DJ Wiz would do, and probably every known DJ in the New York metro area. I'm not talking about, when I say metro, not just the five boroughs. Philly, New Jersey, would come to this party, and I would see all of the DJs. It would be like a DJ reunion. And Wiz, I don't know if I've seen any other within my, tenure of DJing, any other DJ that was ever able to have a DJ function every single time that this DJ function is around, and we all look forward to it coming. We all look forward to this M15 party coming up because we know we're going to see the rest of our peers there, and not only see our peers there, you guys were so gracious enough. Hey D, you wanna go rock? Hey Scratch, you wanna go rock? Hey Vern, you wanna go rock? I mean, you guys made it such a DJ friendly place, and it only just didn't attract DJs.
Right.
New York's nightlife would be there. The elites would be there. Like, how did you and whomever worked with you with that event? How did you capture that?
Well, it was a team effort. It definitely wasn't just me. All I did was really secure the spot. Initially, it was an experiment, and we just kept it going. I had to create a team, and the team that did the effort to make this last as many years as it did, it started with the creator himself, Ralph McDaniels. I'm like, Ralph, I want to do this night, but I can't do it without you. You're the king of videos, so would you do this with us? He's like, yeah, let's do it. I mentioned my partner, DJ Vern. Vern was down automatically. I mean, me and Vern was already doing events together on his huge sound system, just DJing wherever. And then on the other side of the coin, I asked my brothers, Teddy Ted and Special K,
Oh, they were involved with the promotion of this with
they were
M5
part
as
of the
well?
video
Wow, you had
mixing.
legends with you.
They were part of it. So that's what I'm
Made
saying.
sense.
So
I understand.
I had established, people that I looked up to be a part of this, and then I had two hosts.
I mean, Spinderella, everyone.
Yeah, I mean, if people were in town, because Dee Dee wasn't living here at the time, but if she was in town, she was coming through. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, her and I would come off the rope together and like, yo, you're going to. There's times when we would literally come off the bus together, and she would tell me about, yo, they're having a party tonight, at M's. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna check you out there or whatever.
And the thing about it is, we at that time in the mid 2000s, everything was a little bit pretentious, and the club scene
That
has
wasn't
changed.
right.
Our party was so different, and it wasn't that. It was just regular. We didn't need bottle service. There was no VIP.
No, we were ordering chicken wings.
And it was free.
Yeah, we were ordering food, bottle service. We're greasy.
Right. But I'm saying that's what was going on at the time. That's what was going on in the city. We were against that. We just wanted to really have fun. And the main reason why I wanted to do this party was because our era of hip hop was not being represented properly. They would not play videos from the late 80s or the 90s. It's like they just discarded our era. So I'm like, yo, this is bull crap. We got to remind people who we are. When they play classic hip hop on the radio, it was lunch hour for 30 minutes. Like,
Correct.
Who's listening to that?
Right.
So I'm not going to let them forget
I'm at work.
us. Right, exactly. So this good hip hop and these legends, we're going to shine. And like they said, the revolution will be televised. That was my whole thing. I'm like, we're going to show this good stuff. And, I corral the troops. I got Ralph. I got the Awesome Two. I got
I've seen Grandmaster Caz. Like, I've seen every single founding father in hip hop there, and generations on from there.
Yeah, Cool Herc, Melly Mel, they were all regulars at this spot. It was a who's who. Funk Master Flex would pop in every now and then, special occasions. Because Flex was wanted all over the city at that point.
And there's no VIP or anything like that, right?
No.
We were just
No.
You walk in and you're in.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. Or you just have your ID and just come out and rock with us. But that it's all about love of what we do and love of these people and celebrating that era and celebrating these legends. Um, Evil D, Lovebug Starsky, D Nice, everybody used to
Yeah.
come through, man. Everybody was coming through. And you know, the video mix party made sure that you remember this era. Like Ralph would come in there and start playing, Ralph would play the battle from Wild Style. You know what I'm saying? Ralph would
Yes.
throw that right. That's the type of stuff that we won't see otherwise, though. You know what
Right.
I mean? Like who's playing it? They're not going to play that on TV. They're not going to play that on BET. What you call it? Rap City.
No.
They won't play that. You know what pissed me off? And this is really another reason why. I remember watching Rap City one day, and they said, "Hey, we're gonna take you to the old school throwback jam of the day." It was a DMX song. I was like,
Yeah. I remember when radio
old
started doing
school?
that. I remember when I was a Hot 97 DJ. I remember when they started considering Biggie the throwback hour. I remember that very, very clear. I remember Mr. C was on at noon at the time. Yeah, that's my Hot 97 days. I
Disrespectful,
remember
man. So
when they
disrespectful.
started considering guys like those records were throwbacks. I remember that. And like yourself, protested. Like
It's disrespectful, man. And that's I still have a problem because it's only the hip hop culture that does that looks down at the legends that came before them. They don't give the
I wonder
reverence and
why that
respect.
is.
They don't give the reverence and respect that the people who do rock and pop give. They look up and idolize these people that came before.
Yeah.
Hip hop, it's like they have a couple months shelf life. The artist, if you made a hot song, like because we do have one hit wonders or maybe two hit wonders. If they're gone and they don't make another song, it's like in a year they're old school. It's ridiculous. People have short memories.
Eddie Van Halen just died a few years ago, about 2 years ago. Guitar God. And you would never find John Mayer
Hmm.
disrespecting Eddie Van Halen.
Right.
Just with,
Absolutely.
you would never find Adam Levine, another guitar player. You would Maroon 5. You would never find these guys disrespecting Lenny Kravitz.
Right.
It's not going to happen. Paul McCartney.
Right.
It's Billy Joel. It's just not going to happen.
Any legend, man. It's just it saddens me, and it's hurtful that our people in power at these hip hop stations don't reverence and support the classic hip hop the way they really should. I mean, of course, now we have, Sirius that can dedicate a channel.
LL is getting busy.
Yeah. Well, you know what?
Oh my goodness, he's getting busy
I'm
on
grateful
Sirius.
for LL. I'm grateful for LL being the advocate and pushing. I feel there's a lot more to be done though, because
Beginning.
LL can't do it by himself. What needs to happen is we need more people with knowledge of the history and the artists in place, because some artists are getting left out. We're seeing the same artists over and over, the same legends, which, I don't mind seeing these legends, but don't leave out the people that also may have been a one-hit wonder, because those big hits still influenced other people. You know what I mean? There are people who were very popular who never get mentioned. And I hate that. I'm like, don't forget these people. Don't sweep these artists under the rug. It can't be the same 5, 10 artists all the time. It just can't.
I agree.
So that's my only beef when it comes to that stuff. Like, give everybody the shine.
And that will actually bring us full circle wrapping up because I'm sure that was probably the meaning behind founding fathers.
Absolutely.
Bringing us full circle to the top of the conversation about documenting the culture, the truth, things that are, and I'll let you actually have the final word on that, being that,
Okay.
like you brought it back, you said, the founding fathers, and you are one of the creators of founding fathers.
Yeah, I'm an executive producer, and I, did some of the interviewing of some of these legendary guys. I got to meet Pete DJ Jones, which was incredible. Pete DJ Jones is a predecessor
I've seen him on camera via you.
before Cool Herc. You know, he was doing his thing before Cool Herc. You know, I've never heard a Pete DJ Jones tape, but I know the legend and heard it from his own mouth and from people who were there what this man did. And you can't sweep him under the rug because he could be the reason why we're all here. Like from him. What is amazing is he's not here anymore, but you got to see him. You got to hear him. He passed away a few years ago. So it's so important to capture the real story of who helped birth it, and that was the whole purpose of this documentary. Um, when the documentary first came out, there was a lot of people protesting, oh, that's bull, this, that's that. But the thing about it is there were several people saying the same story that didn't even know each other about who did what when. So if you have several people telling a similar story in different places and they're not around each other, it's got to be the truth. It's got to be the truth. I had a conversation with Dougie Fresh, and I had a conversation with um, DST historians. Both of them guys, like, forget it. Your head will explode when you hear the history from these guys.
Right.
But we had a long conversation about stuff that was happening up in Westchester and all these other places before even the same time as what was going on in the Bronx. It's just that everybody has a contribution and all of them need to be heard. Stuff was happening in Philly. We don't know what year hip hop started there. Like that
Right.
still needs to be told. We know about Jeff. I heard an old tape of Jeff doing his thing, and it was a long time ago, man.
On Pump Me Up?
No, before all of that,
Yeah, I
Pump Me
heard
Up
something on
wasn't
Pump Me
even
Up in the
made yet.
late 80s.
Yeah, like that wasn't even made at this tape that I heard Jeff doing. But anyway, I'm just saying that we were blessed to get PTJ Jones and the promoter M. Martin Hall. They're gone. These guys are gone. You know, but we got the history from the source. You had people like Curtis Blow there to verify and put the stamp on the facts. You had Fab Five Freddy putting the stamp on the facts. You got um, Ralph McDaniels putting his stamp on what Grandmaster Flowers did. You got DJ Hollywood breaking it down, telling the truth. You got LA Sunshine breaking it down about DJ Hollywood's influence on him. These are the stories that we need to hear. We have to hear the truth and who influenced who. You know, give people their flowers, man.
Bro, and I'm going to end on that, and I thank you because um, that documentary, brother, I could watch it over and over. And as you asked me when we were coming on today, you said, "Hey, D, did you freshen up?" And I said, "Yeah." You know, and I also mentioned to you, I learned some more. And I said, "Wiz, I have to watch it again
Right.
because I'm gonna learn some more."
Yeah.
You know, I actually physically had to write things down. I didn't know, for example, I didn't know the Disco Twins personally before this, right? I know them personally now. Can
Right.
call, personally now.
Right. Right.
Now, when I watch the documentary, it hits me different.
Yes, sir. Yes,
You get my
sir.
point?
Absolutely.
It hits me
Absolutely.
different.
Absolutely.
So much information in there. It just hits me different now.
Yep.
And again, we both instruct, or not instruct, we definitely, I urge people, go check out Founding Fathers. It's on YouTube. And as DJ Wiz says, it's important, even for the young generation, you guys right now, if you're watching, we ask you, document your story
Hmm.
so no one else tells your story for you. Am
That's
I
it.
right, Wiz?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because there's only one you, and you can tell your story the way it needs to be told.
So, Wiz, thanks for coming to hang out with me, my brother, man. Class was in session today. I have my pen, my paper, my pad, and I have some notes down. I hope everyone else, if you like the video, subscribe to it, give us a thumbs up. Check out my brother, DJ Wiz. He's on Instagram, he's on Facebook. Check him out. And he's all over the place. This is
Yes,
my
sir.
man. Introducing D Wiz, everybody.
DJ Wiz, D Wiz, we're the wizards. That's all I got to say.
And we're also, look, we're also comic book fanatics and lovers. So, you see that right there? You see that? Like,
All
we
day,
go to
baby.
movies, we call each other and talk about
All day.
comics and Marvel Universe and things of that nature. Hey, join us, hit us up, subscribe, and if you're a DJ or whatever, you want to talk comics, we're with it, ain't we, Mark?
And go check out the Kid and Play Marvel comic. We were the first rap group and hip hop group to ever have a Marvel comic book.
That's a fact, though, right? That's in
100%
Marvel.
Marvel comic book.
See, now, bro, just tell me, what did that mean to you that day? I
That
can't
that's
I can't let you
everything.
say that and we just
That's
leave. We're talking
listen.
about Marvel, and you're like, yo, D, I'm a character in Marvel. Wait, Wiz,
I am a character in Marvel.
come
I'm
on,
in the
like,
Marvel comic universe.
we could leave the DJ thing now, like, bro,
I'm in
leaving
the
with
Marvel
this.
comic universe.
How did that feel? Who drew you? Like, how does that process work? Do you guys approve things, or how does that work?
Well, they had some guys that drew the comic, then drew us really, really well. We look exactly like how we look, pretty much. We had 9 issues, Kid and Play, 1 through 9. I would say definitely try to get your hands on the first issue. Um, I would say I like the cover of the 5th issue because I'm like right in the middle, big face, in between Kid and Play. And the 9th issue is the real
Love
biggie.
it.
The 9th issue is the real biggie because we're right in the middle of the Marvel characters. They're waiting to fight us.
Go on eBay and cop that, guys.
Yes.
What was your superpower?
Oh, I didn't have any. I was scared.
Yes, I gotta go and read this. Yo, so let's just have fun with this. So you think you could beat Thor? Okay, no, let me just talk about some other, in that case, mortals. That Daredevil, he's a mortal. You were a mortal in Marvel Universe.
Well, I don't want to give away the story of the comic. I want y'all to go read the comic. Go look for Kid and
Love
Play
it.
#9, and just look at the cover. I'm on the cover, and I'm standing with my fist like this, looking at Ghost Rider's head, looking at Ghost Rider right in the face. Okay, I'll leave it at
That's
that.
intense. Ladies and gentlemen, that being said, thanks for hanging out with us, Wiz, my brother. Thanks for hanging out, and I'm gonna go and check it out. And you better beat Ghost Rider down.
Much love.
Much love. Peace, everybody.